Top Gun, Maverick begins by immediately reintroducing us to Pete Maverick Mitchell, Tom Cruise, in the only world he has ever known. One where flying is his true purpose, and the rules of authority rarely apply to him. As the film opens, Maverick is no longer the brash, cocky young man we saw in the original Top Gun, but an experienced Navy test pilot who has spent decades pushing the limits of aviation. Although Maverick's achievements and skills are well known in military circles, the movie shows us how much Maverick has evolved, or perhaps hasn't evolved, since the 1980s. While the world around him changes, Maverick remains steadfast in his rebellious nature, a man who can't seem to let go of his passion for flying and his refusal to fall in line with the bureaucracy and red tape of naval command. Maverick's current role as a test pilot speaks volumes about his character. He is still a legend in the skies, taking on dangerous missions that no one else dares to attempt. However, this position of elite status comes with its own set of challenges. Maverick's refusal to conform to standard military procedures or accept promotions that would land him in a desk job is symbolic of his refusal to accept a life grounded in anything other than his flying. His resistance to bureaucracy isn't just an act of defiance, it's a reflection of his need for freedom, a deeply ingrained part of his identity. This desire for autonomy, coupled with his exceptional skill in the cockpit, keeps him at the top of his game, but also out of the typical leadership trajectory that many of his peers have followed. Yet, despite his accomplishments, Maverick is a man at odds with himself. His reputation precedes him, but his inability to climb the ranks within the Navy hints at a deeper issue. There is a significant emotional undercurrent to Maverick's reluctance to change or accept promotions. Having already lost his father figure in the death of his best friend Goose, Anthony Edwards, in the first film, Maverick is deeply affected by the consequences of his previous decisions. He carries the weight of Goose's death as well as the choices he made that led to that tragedy. These unresolved feelings haunt Maverick as he continues his career, always with the ghosts of the past at his heels. In a world where career advancement and recognition are celebrated, Maverick is a man who has chosen, consciously or unconsciously, to remain stuck in a time when he was at his peak. One of the most striking things about Maverick's world in Top Gun, Maverick, is the contrast between his personal evolution and the world around him. While Maverick remains as daring as ever, technology and warfare have progressed. The introduction of advanced fighter jets, such as the F-35, and the strategic shift towards drones and unmanned aircraft highlights how the world of warfare and aviation has changed. Maverick's resistance to this evolution is palpable. He is a man who refuses to be rendered obsolete, clinging to his expertise and visceral understanding of flight, which, in his mind, cannot be replaced by technology. The juxtaposition of Maverick's old-school flying style and the modern world around him creates a tension that underpins much of the film. This internal conflict, between a man who has lived through a golden age of aviation and the reality that the world is shifting towards a future he doesn't completely understand, fuels Maverick's emotional journey throughout the movie. As Maverick navigates this tension, he remains isolated in many ways. Although he has become a well-known figure in the Navy and a revered pilot, his relationships with others remain strained. His commitment to flying and his fear of letting go of the past has left him without deep personal connections. He avoids commitment, distancing himself from people who could bring any form of emotional closeness into his life. This detachment is most evident in his strained relationship with his former love interest, Penny, Jennifer Connelly, who runs a bar near the base where Maverick is stationed. Penny represents the possibility of a normal life outside of the cockpit. But Maverick has trouble embracing this possibility, still haunted by his past and unwilling to let anyone get too close to him. However, Maverick's journey isn't simply about him being stuck in the past. It's about him coming to terms with who he is and the impact of his actions. The tension between wanting to remain at the top of his game and coming to terms with the toll his life choices have taken on his emotional well-being is what propels him forward in Top Gun: Maverick. In the film, he encounters a new challenge, the opportunity to train the next generation of fighter pilots. This assignment at Top Gun, a prestigious Navy training program, forces Maverick to confront both his past and his future. As much as Maverick has resisted the idea of settling down or taking a role outside of flying, he is presented with a unique situation that requires him to grow beyond his self-imposed limitations. When Maverick is called back to Top Gun, it's not just an opportunity for him to relive his glory days, it's a test. Not only is he tasked with training a new generation of pilots, but he's also asked to mentor them in ways that challenge his long-held beliefs. Maverick is used to being the star, the one who takes risks and makes decisions on the fly. But now, as a mentor, he has to guide others, teaching them to think strategically and trust in their instincts, all while managing their fear. This role reversal is significant because it forces Maverick to confront his own fears of being left behind and his difficulty in letting go of the past. The return to Top Gun represents more than just a physical location for Maverick. It's a place that forces him to come to terms with his legacy and his place in the world. The very idea of Top Gun, with its competitive nature and its focus on training the best of the best, is a reflection of Maverick's internal struggle. Top Gun symbolizes the peak of his career, but also a place where he has experienced the most profound emotional loss. Returning to Top Gun pushes Maverick to address the consequences of his actions and figure out how to move forward, whether that means accepting a new role as a mentor or continuing to fight for the thrill of flying. At the core of Maverick's world in Top Gun, Maverick is the tension between nostalgia and the inevitability of change. He's a man stuck between wanting to maintain the status quo, where he is the best at what he does, and facing the truth that the world is evolving. The film explores how Maverick navigates this tension, balancing his identity as a pilot with his emotional journey towards growth, acceptance, and ultimately, the realization that the world and he must evolve if he is to truly move forward. This journey of self-discovery is not just about Maverick's desire to continue flying. It's about how he learns to embrace his role as a mentor, a guide, and a leader to the next generation of pilots. As Top Gun Maverick progresses, the story transitions from Maverick's role as a test pilot, still clinging to the thrill of his youth, into a new challenge that forces him to confront his past and future simultaneously. His unexpected return to Top Gun as a mentor is one of the film's most significant plot developments, not just for its impact on the narrative, but for its emotional and thematic weight. Maverick, who once thrived as the best of the best, is now tasked with training a new generation of elite pilots for a dangerous mission, one that requires precision, bravery, and teamwork. The new mission and the responsibility of training these young pilots force Maverick to confront his greatest fears, including his past mistakes, the inevitable passage of time, and his ability to continue thriving in a world that is shifting beyond his control. When Maverick is called back to Top Gun to take on the role of instructor, it's clear that he hasn't been waiting for this moment. He hasn't sought out the position and isn't actively pursuing it. In fact, his arrival feels like more of a reluctant return, one that's thrust upon him due to the Navy's need for a skilled, experienced pilot. Maverick is, as always, a man who exists on the edges of authority and bureaucracy, constantly butting heads with higher-ups. But as the Navy sees it, Maverick's vast knowledge and unique approach to flying make him the only candidate capable of handling the next big challenge. The film places Maverick at a crossroads where he must reconcile the man he's become with the mentor he's expected to be. The mission that Maverick must prepare his new group of pilots for is both physical and symbolic. The mission involves taking out an enemy facility that poses a threat to global security. The complexity of the task is immediate, high-tech, highly dangerous, and demanding of the utmost precision. Maverick's role in training these pilots becomes clear. Not only does he have to prepare them technically, but he must also instill in them the emotional courage to face the unknown. The mission is more than just a military objective. It's a test of his ability to teach others what it means to be a Top Gun pilot, as well as an opportunity to pass on his hard-earned wisdom to the next generation. As Maverick assesses the new group of students, he is confronted with the reality that they are very different from him. This new generation of pilots is talented, yes, but also young, cocky, and unfamiliar with the emotional weight of what it means to be an elite pilot. For Maverick, it's a reminder that his approach, his willingness to take risks, his sense of instinctive decision-making, and his individualism is something that needs to be imparted to the group. Unlike Maverick, these pilots have been trained in the modern-day rules of combat, rules that are more rigid and formulaic. The freedom Maverick once had in the cockpit, flying by instinct and experience, is no longer the primary mode of operation. The question now becomes, can Maverick teach these pilots to think for themselves and trust their instincts, just as he once did? One of the greatest emotional hurdles Maverick faces is his relationship with Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, Miles Teller, the son of his late best friend, Goose. Rooster's inclusion in this group of pilots adds personal stakes to Maverick's training mission. While Maverick was once a beloved mentor to Goose, he now has to deal with the complicated feelings that Rooster has about him. Rooster resents Maverick, believing that the older pilot's actions led to his father's death. This unresolved conflict becomes a constant undercurrent throughout the film, complicating the already difficult task of preparing the team for a mission that requires absolute trust and unity. The personal connection between Maverick and Rooster highlights one of the core themes of the film, the struggle between past trauma and the possibility of redemption. Maverick feels the weight of Goose's death every day, and it's clear that the emotional baggage of that event has held him back from forming closer relationships in the years since. His desire to mentor Rooster is tinged with guilt, and he has to confront the fact that his actions, while well-intentioned, have consequences that extend beyond his own life. The mission, in this context, becomes not just a military challenge but a chance for Maverick to atone for his past, not only in terms of his relationship with Rooster, but in his broader emotional journey. At the same time, Maverick must reconcile his own fears of obsolescence. The younger pilots may be more technologically advanced, trained to use the latest fighter jets and military technologies, but Maverick has the experience that they don't. He's still able to think on his feet, adapt to situations in ways that younger pilots cannot, and push the limits of what's possible in the sky. This knowledge becomes one of the key aspects of Maverick's training style, but it also brings with it an underlying sense of anxiety. Maverick's confidence in the cockpit is unwavering, but his confidence in his role as a mentor is more uncertain. The film expertly weaves Maverick's emotional growth into his role as an instructor. His personal demons and his professional responsibility are intertwined, making his mission to train the new pilots more than just an external task. Maverick's return to Top Gun and his role as an instructor also represent a turning point for the character. He has spent years avoiding a desk job, rejecting any form of conventional authority. The idea of settling into the role of an educator is not one that Maverick takes lightly. However, as the film progresses, it becomes clear that Maverick is not just teaching these pilots to fly. He is teaching them what it means to take responsibility, trust each other, and understand that their actions can have a life-or-death impact on others. The emotional arc of Maverick's mission isn't about simply reliving past glory. It's about teaching the next generation of pilots the values that made him who he is. The mission also serves as a vehicle for Maverick to confront his own sense of legacy. What does it mean to be a Top Gun in the modern era? How can Maverick's skill, honed through years of experience, serve a new generation that looks to technology and protocol more than instinct and individualism? Maverick must come to terms with the fact that his legacy is not just about flying solo or being the hero, it's about passing on his knowledge to those who will carry the torch after him. By the end of Top Gun, Maverick, the new mission becomes more than just a military objective. It is a reflection of Maverick's growth as a person and a mentor, and his relationship with Rooster evolves as both mentor and student learn to work together for the greater good. Maverick's new mission is both literal and metaphorical. It is about leading the next generation into a world where flying may not be the same, but the heart, courage, and instincts of a true pilot remain unchanged. This mission marks a new chapter for Maverick, one where he's not just a lone pilot but a leader who must accept his role in shaping the future, both for the Navy and for himself. The emotional core of Top Gun. Maverick hinges significantly on the relationship between Pete Maverick Mitchell, Tom Cruise, and Bradley Rooster Bradshaw. Miles Teller, the son of Maverick's late best friend, Nicholas Bradshaw. In the first Top Gun film, Goose's tragic death in a training accident remains one of the most pivotal moments of Maverick's life, shaping his character and his approach to flying and leadership. Maverick picks up decades later, but the consequences of that loss still weigh heavily on both Maverick and Rooster, whose emotional journey is one of the most powerful elements of the film. Rooster's return as part of Maverick's new generation of pilots brings both nostalgia and tension to the story. The very presence of Rooster, a young, talented pilot who bears an uncanny resemblance to his father, immediately conjures the painful memories of Maverick's past. Rooster, as the son of Goose, represents both the continuation of a legacy and the unresolved grief that Maverick has never truly processed. What makes this relationship complex is that Rooster, now an adult, harbors deep resentment toward Maverick, believing that the older pilot's actions led to his father's death. This unresolved anger between them forms the emotional axis of their interactions, setting the stage for their character arcs throughout the film. From the outset, we see that Rooster's connection to Maverick is fraught with tension. Maverick, while still haunted by Goose's death, continues to blame himself for the incident. His decision to pull Rooster's application to the Navy years ago, driven by a misguided desire to protect him, is a key point of contention. Maverick's choice, made out of love but ultimately a form of control, directly affected Rooster's career. Rooster resents this interference in his future and, as a result, has not forgiven Maverick. For Rooster, the shadow of his father's legacy is ever present, but it's also burdened with the unresolved pain of believing that Maverick kept him from achieving his full potential. The film subtly explores the complexity of grief through their strained relationship. Maverick's guilt over Goose's death has manifested in his attempts to protect Rooster, to keep him from experiencing the same heartbreak. However, Rooster's resentment reveals the deeper issue that Maverick hasn't fully dealt with, his need to control, stemming from the trauma of losing someone so close to him. Maverick's willingness to sacrifice his relationship with Rooster in the name of protection adds layers to their dynamic, as the younger pilot struggles to reconcile the image of his father's best friend with the man who seemed to stand in the way of his own career. Rooster's arrival at Top Gun and his assignment under Maverick's tutelage serve as the catalyst for the emotional journey that both characters must undertake. As the two are forced to work together in training, the unresolved tensions bubble to the surface. Rooster's fear of flying, the pressure of living up to his father's name, and his strained relationship with Maverick all come into play during their interactions. For Rooster, the pain is not just about losing his father, but about the belief that Maverick's actions were a betrayal. This feeling of abandonment and resentment simmers beneath every exchange, making their relationship complex and difficult. Rooster's struggle is as much with his own identity as it is with Maverick. Can he ever step out of his father's shadow? And if so, can he do so while mending his broken relationship with the man who was supposed to be his mentor? As the film progresses, Maverick is forced to confront the painful truth. His attempts to protect Rooster only kept them both from healing. This realization is part of Maverick's larger emotional journey. He recognizes that Rooster's pain is not just a reflection of their past, but a result of his inability to let go of the guilt that has haunted him for so long. The more Maverick tries to control the situation, the deeper the divide between them grows. What both characters must learn is that healing comes not from protection or control, but from understanding, forgiveness, and trust. In the midst of their conflict, there are moments of vulnerability that hint at the deep bond Maverick and Rooster still share. Despite the anger and hurt, Maverick is undeniably proud of Rooster's abilities. He sees the same potential in Rooster that he once saw in his father. At the heart of Maverick's emotional arc is the realization that Rooster's success is not only a tribute to his late best friend Goose, but also a testament to the future of the Navy and the continuation of what they both represent. Maverick must learn to let go of his guilt and accept that Rooster is his own person, capable of making his own choices and living up to his potential. One of the most pivotal moments in the film comes when Maverick risks his life to save Rooster during the climactic mission. Maverick's willingness to sacrifice himself for Rooster is the moment when the two finally begin to bridge the emotional gap between them. It's a culmination of Maverick's growth as a mentor, as he finally steps aside from his own guilt to allow Rooster to succeed in his own right. Rooster's decision to trust Maverick in this critical moment, despite everything that has come before, marks the turning point in their relationship. It's not just about flying together. It's about the emotional breakthrough that happens when both men realize that they can rely on each other, not as figures from the past, but as equals. Rooster's redemption comes not only in terms of his flying abilities, but in his ability to forgive and move forward. As Maverick's old guard, Rooster represents both the weight of Maverick's past and the future of naval aviation. Rooster's ultimate success, both in his mission and in his personal reconciliation with Maverick, serves as a tribute to the idea that the past, no matter how painful, can be a source of strength. By the film's conclusion, Maverick and Rooster have reached an understanding, a mutual respect that allows them to look beyond the shadow of Goose's death and build a new legacy together. This reconciliation signifies not only the healing of their fractured relationship, but the passing of the torch to the next generation of pilots. In summary, Rooster's presence in Top Gun: Maverick brings the emotional depth of the story to a head. His struggle with Maverick, his emotional baggage, and his journey toward forgiveness are at the heart of the film's exploration of grief, guilt, and redemption. Through Rooster, Maverick is given a second chance at healing, not just for himself, but for the legacy of the friendship he lost with Goose. Their journey together is one of mutual growth, reconciliation, and the understanding that, sometimes, the only way to move forward is to let go of the past and trust in those who will carry it with them. In Top Gun, Maverick, the character of Pete Maverick Mitchell, undergoes a profound evolution that reflects his emotional growth, internal struggles, and shift in perspective. While Maverick has always been a symbol of bravery, cockiness, and defiance, the sequel explores deeper layers of his persona, his vulnerability, his guilt, his need for redemption, and his ability to evolve into a mentor figure for the new generation of pilots. His journey is not simply about surviving the increasingly dangerous world of aviation, but also about confronting his own past mistakes, reconciling with his unresolved grief, and ultimately coming to terms with the necessity of change, both for himself and for those around him. At the beginning of the film, Maverick is still very much the reckless, thrill-seeking pilot we remember from the first Top Gun. His reluctance to conform to naval protocols and his refusal to settle into an administrative position, despite his decades of experience, speak to his inner conflict. Maverick is someone who refuses to be grounded, not just physically in the cockpit, but emotionally as well. He has avoided personal attachment, avoided growth in his career, and avoided the painful reality of facing the consequences of his past decisions. His decision to remain in the field as a test pilot, defying his superiors at every turn, highlights his deep-rooted fear of becoming obsolete or irrelevant. He clings to the rush of flying, the validation of his skills, and the acknowledgement that, in the air, he is still the best. However, as the film progresses, we start to see the cracks in this facade. Maverick is no longer just the young, fearless pilot who once reveled in the thrill of defying authority and taking risks. As a man in his 50s, Maverick's existence becomes marked by introspection and internal questioning. The weight of his years in the Navy, his experience in combat, and the loss of his best friend Goose have left emotional scars that never truly healed. In the decades since Goose's death, Maverick has tried to outrun the pain, using his flying as a distraction. But it has become increasingly clear that he cannot avoid his past forever. His decision to go back to Top Gun as a trainer is a turning point, one that forces him to face not only the future of aviation, but also the ghosts of his past. Maverick's journey of emotional evolution is rooted in his relationship with Bradley "Rooster" Bradshaw Miles Teller, the son of Goose. Rooster's presence in the film is a constant reminder of the past, and the tension between Maverick and Rooster is more than just a father-son dynamic. It is the culmination of unresolved guilt, unspoken grief, and a complicated sense of responsibility. Maverick's decision to protect Rooster by pulling his application to the Navy years ago was an attempt to shield him from the same pain Maverick experienced, but it was also a form of control that has caused immense damage to their relationship. For Maverick, Rooster's resentment and anger are a reflection of his inability to protect Goose and an unintended consequence of his misguided sense of love and care. Throughout the film, Maverick is forced to confront his actions, acknowledge his mistakes, and face the emotional consequences of his past decisions. The painful rift with Rooster becomes a central point in Maverick's emotional arc, forcing him to reckon with his own guilt and, in turn, his own capacity for healing. Maverick's journey toward emotional growth is not an easy one, and it is clear that he struggles with the concept of being a mentor. While he is undoubtedly a skilled pilot, the idea of teaching others and relinquishing some of his control is a foreign concept to him. He has spent so much of his life in the cockpit, living on the edge, that the idea of guiding and instructing others feels like an existential challenge. Maverick's leadership style has always been unorthodox. His reputation is built on his ability to take risks, break the rules, and trust his instincts. But in training the next generation of pilots, Maverick is forced to teach them not only how to fly, but also how to work as a team, how to trust their instincts while still adhering to the structure of military discipline. This new role as an instructor challenges Maverick's sense of self, pushing him to understand that being a leader is about more than just individual prowess. It's about guiding others to become the best versions of themselves. Maverick's inability to let go of his old ways serves as a key obstacle he must overcome in order to evolve and make peace with his past. A significant element of Maverick's evolution is his relationship with Penny, Jennifer Connelly, a former love interest who runs a bar near the naval base. Penny's presence in the film acts as a subtle but important catalyst for Maverick's emotional growth. She represents the possibility of normalcy, of building a life outside of the cockpit, and of finding love and connection again after years of emotional isolation. While Maverick has clung to the thrill of flying to distract himself from his emotional pain, Penny provides him with an opportunity to heal, to open himself up to someone else, and to confront the vulnerability that he has kept buried for so long. Penny's ability to understand Maverick and accept him as he is, a flawed, complicated man, is something he has not experienced in a long time. Their relationship grows throughout the film, and Penny's encouragement for Maverick to trust in his abilities as a mentor, as well as to face his past, acts as a grounding force in his journey. Penny is the one person who challenges Maverick to look beyond his identity as a pilot and explore what it means to live a fuller life, one where personal connections are just as important as professional success. By the end of Top Gun, Maverick's evolution is complete. He has not only accepted his role as a mentor to the new generation of pilots, but also learned to let go of his old fears and guilt. His decision to risk his life to save Rooster during the film's climactic mission symbolizes the ultimate sacrifice, a willingness to put someone else's well-being ahead of his own. This selflessness is the culmination of Maverick's emotional arc. He no longer clings to his past or his need to be the lone hero. He embraces the importance of trust, teamwork, and mentorship. The passing of the torch to Rooster, both literally and metaphorically, represents Maverick's acceptance that his legacy is not just about the high-flying, risk-taking Maverick of the past, but about the strength of the relationships he's built and the future he's helped shape. In conclusion, Maverick's character in Top Gun, Maverick undergoes a significant transformation from the first film. His journey is one of emotional growth, where he confronts his past mistakes, learns the value of mentorship, and finds peace with the loss and trauma that have defined much of his life. The film offers a nuanced exploration of how age, experience, and emotional maturity shape a person, showing that even someone as legendary as Maverick must evolve in order to heal and embrace the future. His story is one of redemption and reinvention, and it serves as a poignant reminder that, no matter how high we fly or how far we've come, there's always room for growth, healing, and the possibility of a new beginning. In Top Gun: Maverick, the heart-pounding action of military aviation takes center stage, but the emotional weight and significance of the high-stakes mission that Maverick and his students are tasked with is a driving force that permeates the entire narrative. The mission in question is one of intense complexity and danger, representing a critical operation that could determine the course of the global power struggle. As a veteran pilot, Maverick is handed the responsibility of training the next generation of fighter pilots for this near-impossible task, one that requires a combination of skill, precision, bravery, and trust in one another. The mission, while rooted in military objectives, is also symbolic of the challenges the characters face personally and emotionally. The mission itself is introduced early in the film as a dangerous strike on a heavily fortified enemy facility, nestled within a mountainous region. It is a mission so perilous that, in normal circumstances, only the most seasoned and exceptional pilots could even attempt it. What makes this mission so unique is that it involves navigating treacherous terrain at extremely low altitudes, in fighter jets capable of reaching supersonic speeds. This element of the mission not only tests the pilots' skill, but their ability to think on their feet, adapt in the moment, and push their aircraft to the absolute limit. Success would require perfect timing, precision in every maneuver, and the ability to make split-second decisions under the threat of heavy enemy fire. The extreme nature of the task at hand immediately sets the tone for the film. The stakes are high, and failure is not an option. At the core of the mission is Maverick's role as the trainer and leader of this group of elite pilots. The complexity of the operation demands more than just technical expertise. It requires leadership that can inspire trust and confidence in his team. Maverick's job, however, is not just to lead from the front but to guide the young pilots through an exercise of extreme risk and personal growth. His style of teaching is rooted in challenging them to reach beyond their limits, trusting their instincts, and pushing themselves to be better than they think they can be. The mission serves as a practical test of their readiness, with Maverick pushing them through grueling training sessions that simulate the physical and mental challenges they will face. Maverick's ability to lead is tested throughout the preparation process. While he has the technical skills to complete the mission alone, the success of the operation depends on the collective effort of the pilots he is training. In the early stages of the film, the dynamics within the group of pilots are strained. The young recruits, though skilled, are eager but lack the real-world experience Maverick brings to the table. Some view him as a relic of the past, while others admire him as a legend. Maverick is forced to bridge these generational divides and teach them not only the technical skills needed for the mission, but also the mental fortitude to face challenges head-on. As the tension between Maverick and his trainees escalates, the stakes of the mission become even more pronounced. Maverick's leadership is not just about his expertise in aviation. It's about his ability to inspire confidence in his students, to help them overcome their personal doubts and fears, and to guide them as they learn to trust each other and work as a cohesive unit. One of the most significant emotional threads of the film revolves around Maverick's relationship with Rooster, Miles Teller, the son of Maverick's late best friend, Goose. Rooster's presence in the squadron adds an additional layer of complexity to the mission. The tension between Maverick and Rooster stems from past unresolved grief and resentment. Rooster blames Maverick for pulling his application to the Navy years ago, a decision Maverick made to protect him from potential harm. This unresolved conflict between them creates an emotional barrier that threatens to undermine the success of the mission. Maverick must find a way to heal the rift with Rooster and convince him that they need to work together if they are to succeed in this mission. Rooster's personal struggle with his past and his emotional baggage parallels the larger theme of the film: how the pilots must learn to confront their fears and trust in one another if they want to make it through the mission alive. The high-stakes mission becomes a metaphor for personal growth, particularly for Maverick and Rooster. As Maverick trains the young pilots, he encourages them to think outside the box, to trust their instincts, and to recognize that perfection is often about finding creative solutions in the face of chaos. Maverick's insistence on pushing them to the brink is not merely about developing their technical skill, but about forging a sense of unity and camaraderie within the group. The mission cannot be completed alone. It requires the collaboration and trust of everyone involved. Maverick's leadership in this regard is both a test of his own abilities and a reflection of the lessons he's learned from his past failures. The final mission itself is a culmination of all the themes of the film: teamwork, trust, leadership, and personal sacrifice. When the time comes for the pilots to execute the plan, it is a breathtaking sequence of aerial maneuvers, combat, and near misses that demonstrates the culmination of everything they've been taught. The mission, with all its intensity and danger, becomes a moment of catharsis for the characters. For Maverick, it's the moment where he finally lets go of the guilt and responsibility he's carried for so long, especially in regard to Rooster. For Rooster, it's a moment of validation where he proves to himself that he can step out of his father's shadow and live up to his potential. The climax of the mission represents not just a physical victory, but a personal one as well. As the mission reaches its dramatic conclusion, Maverick is faced with the ultimate test of his leadership, making the ultimate sacrifice to ensure the success of the operation. In a selfless act, Maverick risks his life to save Rooster, putting his faith in the younger pilot and demonstrating the depth of his growth and understanding. The final moments of the mission are filled with emotion, as Maverick and Rooster, who have spent the entire film at odds, must now rely on each other completely in order to survive. The success of the mission signifies the culmination of Maverick's journey as a mentor. He is no longer the reckless, defiant young man we saw in the first Top Gun film, but a seasoned, mature leader who understands that real success lies in guiding others and making personal sacrifices for the greater good. The mission serves as a metaphor for Maverick's emotional evolution. It's not about proving himself, but about helping others prove their worth and accomplish something greater than themselves. In conclusion, the high-stakes mission in Top Gun Maverick serves as both a literal and symbolic challenge for the characters. It's an opportunity for Maverick to test his leadership, for Rooster to overcome his personal struggles, and for the pilots to come together as a team. The mission's success is not just about defeating the enemy. It's about personal growth, healing, and reconciliation. The film uses the mission as a vehicle for exploring themes of trust, leadership, sacrifice, and redemption, culminating in a powerful moment of triumph for Maverick and his team. In Top Gun Maverick, one of the most significant aspects of the film is how Maverick's leadership evolves from the cocky, self-reliant pilot of the original Top Gun to a more seasoned, responsible mentor. As the narrative unfolds, Maverick is given the challenging role of training a new generation of elite pilots for a dangerous and highly complex mission. This shift from the lone wolf pilot to a leader responsible for guiding others highlights Maverick's internal journey, where he must reconcile his own fear of becoming obsolete with the necessity of teaching the next generation the skills required to succeed. Maverick's leadership, and how it evolves throughout the film, becomes the emotional core of the story, highlighting the themes of mentorship, sacrifice, trust, and redemption. At the start of the film, Maverick is still a pilot at heart, unwilling to conform to the bureaucratic structure of military life. He has spent years flying test planes and avoiding advancement to higher ranks, precisely because he refuses to be grounded by office work or restricted by rules that would prevent him from flying. This rebellious nature has defined him for much of his career, and it is a trait that he holds on to dearly. However, when he is called back to Top Gun to train the next generation of pilots, Maverick is faced with an uncomfortable new reality. He's no longer just an exceptional individual pilot. He is now a leader and a teacher, tasked with preparing others for a mission that will determine the fate of many lives. This shift is not easy for Maverick, as it forces him to confront his own vulnerabilities, self-doubt, and guilt over past mistakes. Maverick's leadership is tested from the very beginning when he meets the new crop of pilots. These pilots, though talented, lack the experience and wisdom that Maverick has accumulated over decades of service. Some of them are enthusiastic and eager to prove themselves, while others are skeptical of Maverick's unorthodox methods. Maverick's leadership style, which is based on pushing boundaries, challenging authority, and trusting instinct over protocol, stands in stark contrast to the highly regimented and disciplined world that these young pilots have been trained in. They've been taught to follow strict rules and protocols, to adhere to a system that values precision and uniformity, rather than the unpredictable risk-taking style that Maverick represents. This clash of styles creates an immediate tension between Maverick and his students, as they must learn to trust each other and embrace Maverick's unconventional yet effective teaching methods. One of the central conflicts Maverick faces as a leader is the emotional baggage he carries from the past, particularly with regard to Rooster, Miles Teller, the son of Maverick's late best friend, Goose. Rooster's resentment toward Maverick, stemming from the older pilot's decision to prevent him from attending Top Gun years ago, is a powerful reminder of Maverick's failure to protect Goose's memory and his complicated relationship with the people closest to him. Rooster's presence in Maverick's squadron creates a tense dynamic, forcing Maverick to confront the unresolved guilt he has carried for years. As a leader, Maverick cannot simply avoid Rooster or dismiss his grievances. He must find a way to rebuild trust with him, heal their fractured relationship, and show Rooster that he cares for his well-being, just as he did for Goose. The emotional weight of this relationship serves as a significant challenge to Maverick's leadership, as he struggles to balance his desire to protect Rooster with his responsibility to teach him how to be an effective pilot. While Maverick's initial instinct is to teach through tough love and challenge his students to rise above their limits, he must also learn the value of emotional intelligence and understanding. This growth is essential for him to become the kind of leader who can effectively guide Rooster and the other pilots. Maverick's leadership at first is defined by his desire to instill in his students the same fearless attitude he once had. But as the film progresses, he realizes that leadership is about more than just pushing people to their limits. It's about knowing when to lead from the front and when to trust your team to carry out the mission on their own. Maverick must shift from being a lone wolf to understanding the importance of collaboration and teamwork, and how his personal relationships with the pilots will ultimately determine their success. Another key aspect of Maverick's leadership evolution is his ability to inspire trust in his students. As an experienced pilot, Maverick's credibility is unquestioned, but it is his ability to motivate and push his students beyond their comfort zones that truly defines his leadership. Maverick challenges each pilot in different ways, forcing them to confront their insecurities, doubts, and fears. He does not hesitate to put them in situations where failure is a real possibility, as this is the only way they can learn to think on their feet, act quickly, and trust their instincts under pressure. Maverick's approach is not about creating perfect pilots. It is about creating pilots who are capable of making difficult decisions in the heat of battle, and who understand that the success of the mission depends on the strength of the team. A pivotal moment in Maverick's leadership journey comes when he learns to put aside his own pride and recognize that his role is not to be the hero, but to ensure that his students succeed. Throughout the film, Maverick's own desire for glory and recognition serves as a barrier to effective leadership. He is a man who has always operated alone, taking risks for the thrill of it and rarely relying on others. But in the high-stakes mission, Maverick is forced to accept that the only way to succeed is to trust his students, to let them take the lead, and to allow them to shine. His decision to step back and trust Rooster and the other pilots during the climactic battle is the ultimate demonstration of Maverick's growth as a leader. He has learned that leadership is about empowering others, not about seeking personal validation or glory. The success of the mission depends on the ability of the entire team to work together, and Maverick's willingness to step aside and let them lead is the true measure of his leadership. By the end of the film, Maverick's leadership has transformed from being about proving himself to others to being about inspiring those around him to believe in themselves. He has become a mentor, a guide, and a source of strength for the next generation of pilots. His growth as a leader is not just about technical skills, it is about emotional maturity, the ability to trust others, and the recognition that leadership is not about individual achievement, but about the collective success of the team. Maverick's final moments in the cockpit, flying side by side with Rooster and the other pilots, showcase the culmination of his journey. He has gone from a lone wolf to a true leader, one who understands that his legacy will be defined not by the number of missions he flies, but by the pilots he trains and the lives he helps shape. In conclusion, Maverick's evolution as a leader in Top Gun. Maverick is at the heart of his character arc. Through his interactions with Rooster and the other pilots, Maverick learns that leadership is not about being the best pilot in the sky. It's about guiding others to their potential, trusting them when it counts, and being willing to make sacrifices for the good of the team. His growth from a self-reliant, risk-taking individual to a mentor who understands the importance of collaboration and emotional intelligence makes him a far more complex and inspiring character, one whose legacy is not only defined by his skills in the cockpit, but by his ability to shape the future of aviation through his leadership. In Top Gun, Maverick, the character of Bradley "Rooster" Bradshaw Miles Teller, the son of Maverick's late best friend Nick "Goose" Bradshaw, represents a complex layer of emotional turmoil and unresolved grief. Rooster's emotional arc is central to the narrative, as he grapples with both his personal struggles and his tense relationship with Maverick. His presence in Top Gun, Maverick is not just as a talented young pilot, but also as a deeply conflicted individual dealing with his own sense of identity, loss, and the burden of living up to the legacy of his father. Rooster's internal battle, and the eventual resolution of his conflict with Maverick, is a defining element of the film, exploring themes of guilt, responsibility, resentment, and ultimately, redemption. From the outset, Rooster's relationship with Maverick is strained, and the film takes time to peel back the layers of tension between them. Rooster resents Maverick for what he perceives as a betrayal. Years earlier, Maverick, acting out of a sense of protection, intervened in Rooster's career by pulling his application to the Naval Academy, thereby delaying his entry into the elite training program at Top Gun. Maverick's reasons for this decision were rooted in his emotional attachment to Goose and his desire to shield Rooster from the potential dangers that come with such a high-stakes career. However, for Rooster, this action feels like a roadblock to his dreams and an unfair limitation placed on him because of the past. His resentment toward Maverick, fueled by a deep-seated belief that Maverick is holding him back, becomes a point of emotional contention that follows him throughout the film. Rooster's inner conflict goes beyond just his strained relationship with Maverick. He is a man who feels the weight of expectations placed upon him, not only because he is the son of a legendary pilot, but also because he must grapple with the emotional legacy of Goose's death. For Rooster, this loss is a double-edged sword. On one hand, his father's heroic death in the first Top Gun film immortalized him in the eyes of the Navy, and Rooster's desire to honor that legacy is deeply embedded in his identity. On the other hand, Goose's death left a void in Rooster's life, one that he feels unable to fill. The immense pressure of living up to his father's reputation weighs heavily on him, creating an internal struggle between wanting to carve out his own identity and being shackled to the expectations set by his father's death. This pressure creates an emotional fracture within Rooster, preventing him from fully embracing his own abilities and potential. In essence, he is stuck between wanting to honor his father's legacy and wanting to break free from it and establish his own path. Maverick, too, is haunted by the memory of Goose. His guilt over the role he played in the events that led to Goose's death has never fully subsided, and it manifests in his overprotectiveness of Rooster. Maverick's attempt to shield Rooster from the same kind of loss he experienced is, in part, motivated by guilt and the desire to make amends for the past. However, this desire to protect Rooster, while well-intentioned, prevents him from truly supporting the younger pilot in the way Rooster needs. By pulling Rooster's application to Top Gun, Maverick unknowingly stunted his growth, keeping him from gaining the necessary experience to move forward in his career. For Maverick, this protective instinct is a reflection of his inability to confront the trauma of Goose's death and his own role in that tragedy. The emotional baggage Maverick carries is one of the main reasons he struggles to form a healthier, more constructive relationship with Rooster. As a result, their interactions are marked by tension, avoidance, and unspoken pain. Rooster's resentment of Maverick is not just about the past. It's also about the present. As Maverick returns to Top Gun as an instructor, Rooster is forced to confront the man who has been a constant presence in his life, but whom he cannot fully accept. Their relationship is marked by a tension that is evident in their every exchange. Rooster feels betrayed by Maverick's actions and is unwilling to forgive him for what he sees as an interference in his career. At the same time, there's a part of Rooster that still looks up to Maverick, that admires his legendary flying skills, and that wants to prove himself worthy of Maverick's approval. This internal conflict is mirrored in Rooster's performance as a pilot. While he is undeniably talented, his fear and anger often hold him back from fully trusting in himself and his abilities. The emotional weight he carries in terms of his father's death and his unresolved issues with Maverick make it difficult for him to operate with the clarity and confidence required to excel as a fighter pilot. As the film progresses, Rooster's growth as a character is tightly linked to his emotional journey and his relationship with Maverick. It becomes clear that, in order to move forward and realize his full potential, Rooster must confront the anger and hurt that have defined his relationship with Maverick. He must also come to terms with his own fears, the pressure of living up to his father's legacy, and the need to accept Maverick's role in shaping his career. Over the course of the film, we see Rooster's emotional walls begin to crack as Maverick pushes him to confront his personal demons. This emotional breakthrough, however, is not immediate. It is a slow, painful process, one that takes time, patience, and trust. The turning point in Rooster's emotional journey occurs when Maverick risks his life to save him during the climactic mission. This act of selflessness on Maverick's part is a pivotal moment for Rooster, as it demonstrates that Maverick's concern for him is not about controlling his life, but about genuinely caring for him as a person. Rooster's decision to trust Maverick, despite the animosity and unresolved conflict between them, is a moment of emotional release. It marks the beginning of their reconciliation, as Rooster finally understands that Maverick's decisions, though flawed, were made out of love and a desire to protect him. In the final moments of the film, Rooster's emotional growth is complete. He is no longer the resentful son of Goose, nor is he a pilot trying to escape his father's legacy. He is his own man, standing alongside Maverick as an equal, not just in terms of their skills as pilots, but in their understanding of one another. Rooster's journey is one of forgiveness, of Maverick, of himself, and of the memory of his father. By the end of the film, Rooster has learned to trust himself, to trust Maverick, and to honor his father's memory in a way that allows him to move forward and build his own path in life. Rooster's conflict in many ways mirrors the larger theme of the film, the importance of facing the past, dealing with unresolved emotions, and finding the courage to forgive. Through his journey, Top Gun, Maverick illustrates that personal growth is not just about overcoming physical challenges. It's about confronting the emotional baggage we carry, learning from it, and using it to become stronger. Rooster's evolution from a bitter, resentful young man to a confident, self-assured pilot is a testament to the power of reconciliation, not just with others, but with oneself. One of the emotional anchors in Top Gun, Maverick, is the relationship between Pete Maverick Mitchell, Tom Cruise, and Penny, Jennifer Connelly. Penny, a businesswoman who runs a bar near the naval base, is introduced as Maverick's former love interest. Their relationship serves as both a continuation of Maverick's past and a potential new chapter in his emotional journey. Penny represents a glimpse of the life Maverick has avoided, a life grounded in love, connection, and stability. However, as much as Penny offers Maverick the possibility of emotional fulfillment, their relationship also serves as a mirror to his internal struggles, providing a counterbalance to his commitment to the thrill of flying and his fear of truly letting go of the past. Maverick's relationship with Penny is not a simple romance. It is one deeply embedded in the emotional baggage he carries from previous losses. Maverick has always defined himself by his role as a pilot. Flying is not just his career. It is his identity, the thing that has shaped every aspect of his life, from his friendships to his relationships. Throughout the first Top Gun movie and into the sequel, Maverick has continuously avoided any emotional attachments that could distract him from his passion for aviation. His reckless and risk-taking behavior is often a defense mechanism against the deep emotional wounds left by the death of his best friend Goose, Anthony Edwards, and the guilt he carries as a result. It's clear that Maverick's fear of losing another person close to him has kept him emotionally distant from those who might care for him. When Penny reappears in Maverick's life, it's clear that she offers him an opportunity to step outside of the world of aviation and reconnect with a more personal, intimate side of himself. Penny has a history with Maverick, but their past relationship was complicated and full of unresolved issues. As the film begins, it's apparent that their bond is still strong, but there is an undercurrent of tension, both because of the time that has passed and the emotional walls Maverick has built around himself. Penny, however, represents something different from Maverick, a connection to the normal life he has long avoided. In Penny, Maverick sees the possibility of a future where his identity isn't solely defined by his flying career. She provides him with an emotional anchor, a reminder that there is more to life than the thrill of the sky. Despite this, Maverick's reluctance to fully commit to Penny speaks to his internal conflict. Penny knows Maverick well. She understands his need for freedom, his resistance to being grounded, and the way he shuts himself off when faced with emotions that make him uncomfortable. Yet she is still willing to be part of his life, offering him emotional support, companionship, and, at times, a gentle push to face his fears. The tension between them lies in Maverick's difficulty in allowing himself to fully open up. While Penny challenges him to confront the reality of his emotional scars, Maverick continues to resist, afraid of the vulnerability that comes with loving someone. For Maverick, love has always been something that could be taken away in an instant, just as he lost Goose, and as a result, he keeps his emotional distance from Penny. Penny, on the other hand, is no stranger to the complexities of life in a military environment. As the daughter of an admiral, she has experienced the emotional turmoil of loving someone in such a high-risk profession. Her own history with Maverick shows that she understands his need for autonomy and the inherent dangers of his profession. However, unlike Maverick, Penny has grown into a woman who is no longer afraid of love or emotional connection. She doesn't view Maverick as a symbol of unattainable perfection, but as a flawed human man capable of both greatness and vulnerability. This understanding and acceptance of Maverick's complexities allow Penny to be a grounding force in his life, even when he is unwilling to acknowledge it. Penny serves as a reflection of what Maverick could have if he allowed himself to step away from the fear of loss and embrace something more meaningful. Throughout Top Gun, Penny provides Maverick with a form of emotional stability that he has long lacked. She offers him a glimpse into a life outside of the military, a life that includes relationships, personal growth, and emotional healing. In their interactions, Penny challenges Maverick to confront his own insecurities and emotional baggage, especially the guilt he carries from Goose's death. Maverick's deep-rooted need for control, which has driven him in the cockpit, often manifests in his relationships as well. He is unwilling to fully open up, afraid that letting down his guard will make him vulnerable to more pain and loss. Penny, however, encourages him to let go of this fear, to trust her and trust the process of building something meaningful. The film also explores how Penny helps Maverick rediscover the joy of living a more balanced life. While Maverick is consumed by his work and his identity as a pilot, Penny offers him a moment of respite from that world, reminding him that there is more to life than the skies. She serves as a reminder that Maverick doesn't have to define himself solely by the dangerous and high adrenaline nature of his career. Her love offers him the chance to heal from past wounds and to find peace in areas of life beyond the cockpit. While Maverick's professional world is full of risk and conflict, Penny represents stability, love, and the possibility of healing. Despite the obvious chemistry between them, the progression of Maverick and Penny's relationship is far from linear. Throughout the film, Maverick must confront the emotional baggage that he's carried with him for years. He has to deal with the deep-rooted guilt surrounding Gu's death and the fear that his relationships will always be overshadowed by loss. Penny, however, provides him with a support system, and her patience and understanding help Maverick gradually come to terms with his fears. Over time, he learns that love isn't just about the excitement of a moment. It's about vulnerability, trust, and the willingness to embrace the people you care about, even when it means facing your deepest fears. By the end of the film, Maverick's relationship with Penny represents a new chapter in his life, one that has room for emotional connection, growth, and mutual support. Penny's presence in the film is crucial in helping Maverick evolve as a person. Through her, Maverick learns that love isn't just a risk. It's a path to healing, to forgiveness, and to embracing the possibilities of the future. Penny becomes an integral part of Maverick's evolution, not only as a mentor and leader, but as a man who is ready to step into a more balanced, emotionally rich life, unburdened by the weight of his past. In conclusion, Penny's relationship with Maverick in Top Gun. Maverick serves as a powerful catalyst for his emotional growth. She challenges him to confront his fears, to embrace vulnerability, and to consider a future beyond his identity as a pilot. Their relationship is not just about romance. It is about healing, forgiveness, and the possibility of a new beginning. Maverick's journey with Penny is integral to the film's deeper themes of redemption, emotional resilience, and the importance of human connection, making her an essential character in his evolution. One of the central themes of Top Gun, Maverick, is the tension between Maverick's role as a mentor and the challenges he faces in trying to train a new generation of fighter pilots. As a seasoned veteran with decades of flying experience, Maverick is undoubtedly one of the best pilots in the world. However, when he is called back to Top Gun to train a new squad of elite pilots for a dangerous mission, the dynamics of training become far more complex. Maverick is faced not only with the task of preparing the pilots for a high-stakes mission, but also with the challenge of navigating the generational gap, the cultural shift in the military, and the emotional baggage he carries from the past. The tension in Maverick's training process serves as a key element of his character development and the emotional arcs of the new pilots, particularly Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, Miles Teller, the son of Maverick's late best friend, Goose. From the outset, Maverick's teaching style immediately clashes with the expectations of the Navy. He's a free spirit, someone who has never fully embraced the military's rigid protocols. Maverick has always believed in breaking the rules to achieve greatness, trusting his instincts, and taking calculated risks, rather than following standard procedures. This has made him a legendary pilot, but it also made him a difficult figure to work with. As the Navy now seeks to prepare the next generation of pilots for an important mission, they need a leader who can balance creativity with adherence to military discipline. Maverick's challenge, therefore, is not only to train the pilots, but also to instill in them the same sense of daring and ingenuity that has defined his own flying career. The tension between Maverick and the Navy's command is immediate. His unorthodox methods frustrate his superiors, who are more accustomed to a structured approach to training. Maverick is told to teach the new pilots the importance of teamwork and precision, qualities that stand in contrast to his own individualistic way of flying. The Navy expects Maverick to pass down the values of discipline, professionalism, and following orders, but Maverick's greatest strength has always been his ability to think outside the box, to improvise, and to trust his gut. For Maverick, the stakes are not just about preparing pilots for a mission, but about teaching them how to navigate the air with confidence and creativity, qualities that are vital when facing an enemy who is unpredictable and ruthless. While Maverick struggles with the expectations placed upon him, the pilots under his tutelage are equally resistant to his unconventional style. These young pilots, though highly skilled, are accustomed to a much more structured and technologically driven approach to flying. Their training focuses on precision, data, and adhering strictly to protocols, methods that work well in controlled environments, but are less effective in the chaotic, unpredictable nature of real combat. Maverick's challenge is to teach them not just to follow instructions but to develop their instincts, to think on their feet, and to trust in themselves when the situation demands it. This shift in mindset is difficult for some of the pilots, who see Maverick as a relic of the past, a man who still clings to the old ways of flying and doesn't understand the modern challenges of warfare. The tension between Maverick and his students is palpable, and it creates an emotional undercurrent that drives the entire training process. The most significant personal conflict within the training process is Maverick's relationship with Rooster, the son of Maverick's late best friend Goose. Rooster's resentment of Maverick stems from a deeply painful history. Maverick, out of a sense of protection and guilt over Goose's death, pulled Rooster's application to the Naval Academy years ago, stunting Rooster's career progression. This decision, though made out of love, created a rift between Maverick and Rooster that has never been healed. Rooster's bitterness towards Maverick is evident from the moment they meet in training, and it sets the tone for their interactions throughout the film. Rooster feels that Maverick has held him back, and this resentment colors his approach to the training process. Maverick, in turn, feels responsible for Rooster's anger and struggles with how to bridge the gap between them. Rooster's conflict with Maverick becomes a major emotional obstacle in their training, and it highlights the complexity of leadership, mentorship, and forgiveness. Maverick's training of Rooster is not just about teaching him how to fly, it's about addressing the emotional tension between them. Maverick must figure out how to help Rooster move past his resentment and develop the trust and confidence needed for the mission. While Maverick pushes Rooster to be the best pilot he can be, he also grapples with his own guilt over Goose's death, which continues to haunt him. The emotional strain between them makes the training process more difficult, as Rooster's anger and Maverick's self-doubt create an atmosphere of distrust. Maverick has to find a way to not only teach Rooster the technical skills required for the mission, but also guide him through the emotional baggage that has kept Rooster from fully trusting Maverick and himself. The intense and rigorous training that Maverick puts his pilots through is a test of both their physical abilities and their emotional resilience. Maverick's challenge is not simply to turn them into better pilots, but to teach them the value of teamwork and mutual trust. The pilots must learn to rely on each other's strengths, to trust in their comrades during high-pressure situations, and to believe in the collective goal, even if it means putting personal pride aside. Maverick's leadership style, which encourages risk-taking and personal responsibility, is a stark contrast to the team-oriented, regimented approach that the pilots have been trained in. Through a series of high-intensity exercises, Maverick challenges his students to confront their own fears, weaknesses, and limitations. These training sequences are physically grueling and emotionally intense, pushing the pilots to the brink of their abilities and forcing them to overcome their personal insecurities. As the training progresses, the pilots begin to understand the value of Maverick's methods. They learn that being a successful pilot is not just about following orders or relying on technology, it's about trusting your instincts and working as a team to achieve the mission's objectives. Maverick's emphasis on creativity, flexibility, and mental toughness begins to take root, and his students start to see the wisdom in his unorthodox approach. The training process becomes a transformative experience for the pilots, not just in terms of their technical skills, but in terms of their emotional growth as well. Maverick's leadership pushes them to become more than just soldiers. They become thinkers, problem solvers, and team players, capable of rising to the challenges ahead. The tension between Maverick and his students, particularly Rooster, reaches a boiling point, but it is through this conflict that the characters and Maverick himself grow. By the end of the training, Maverick has not only prepared his pilots for the mission, but has also helped them understand the importance of trust, vulnerability, and emotional strength. The training becomes a metaphor for Maverick's own emotional journey, as he learns to trust his students, forgive himself, and let go of the past. In conclusion, the training sequences in Top Gun: Maverick serve as both a literal and metaphorical battleground. Maverick's leadership, his emotional baggage, and his ability to teach his students the true meaning of teamwork and trust are central to the story. The tension within the training process, both personal and professional, drives the emotional arc of the film and ultimately leads to the characters' growth and redemption. The training is not just about learning how to be better pilots, it is about confronting their fears, learning to rely on one another, and preparing for the ultimate test that will define their futures. In Top Gun: Maverick, the theme of heroism takes on a more complex and reflective nature than what was presented in the original film. Maverick, once the brash, cocky, and fearless young pilot who sought to prove himself as the best, is now an older, more mature version of the same character. One who is both a hero and a flawed human being. The film delves deeply into the transformation of Maverick's character, showing how the very nature of heroism itself evolves with age, experience, and the recognition that heroism is not just about individual glory or personal survival, but about sacrifice, leadership, and empowering others. Maverick's journey in this film reflects a deeper understanding of heroism, one that is no longer defined solely by personal accomplishments, but by the ability to inspire, protect, and lead others through perilous situations. At the beginning of Top Gun: Maverick still clings to his identity as a risk-taking, defiant pilot. His reputation as the Navy's best pilot, who consistently defies orders and challenges authority, is well known. But as the film progresses, it becomes clear that Maverick's previous conceptions of heroism, defined by individual acts of bravery and flying alone, are no longer sufficient. He is thrust into the role of mentor and leader, guiding the new generation of pilots, including Bradley, Rooster Bradshaw, Miles Teller, the son of his late best friend, Goose. Maverick must evolve and learn that heroism isn't about performing a solo act of bravery. It's about showing others how to be brave, taking responsibility for their actions, and making the tough choices that protect the greater good. Maverick's new mission of training the next generation of elite pilots reveals the internal conflict he faces. While he remains deeply committed to flying and the rush of being in the cockpit, he is forced to recognize that the world is changing. The younger pilots, trained in the age of advanced technology and regimented military discipline, operate under a completely different set of values and expectations. Maverick's ability to lead them depends not only on his flying expertise but also on his ability to inspire them to think critically, trust their instincts, and develop the mental toughness required for a dangerous mission. This shift in his role challenges Maverick's previous understanding of heroism, forcing him to confront the limitations of his individualistic, lone wolf mentality. He must learn to lead a team and guide others to success, even if it means stepping aside and allowing them to shine. One of the most pivotal moments in Maverick's journey is his relationship with Rooster. The emotional conflict between the two, stemming from Maverick's involvement in Goose's death and his decision to prevent Rooster from advancing in his career, illustrates the complexity of Maverick's heroism. Maverick's guilt over Goose's death and his fear of losing Rooster in the same way drive him to protect Rooster. But this protection also results in emotional distance. Rooster resents Maverick for holding him back and preventing him from reaching his full potential, creating a rift between them that highlights the tension between self-preservation and sacrifice. For Maverick, becoming a true hero means letting go of his guilt and learning to trust Rooster, not only as a pilot but as a person capable of making his own choices. This emotional growth in Maverick signifies that true heroism is not about controlling others or making decisions on their behalf, but about empowering them to face their own challenges and become heroes in their own right. Maverick's ability to inspire and lead his squadron of young pilots is tested throughout the film. While his unorthodox methods of teaching initially create friction and resistance, they eventually prove to be the key to unlocking the pilot's potential. Maverick's heroism is rooted in his willingness to take risks and think outside the box. As a mentor, he teaches his students not just how to fly, but how to trust their instincts, how to work as a cohesive team, and how to make split-second decisions in the face of life-or-death situations. His leadership style, which emphasizes creativity, trust, and personal responsibility, helps the pilots grow both personally and professionally. Maverick's heroism, in this sense, is not about individual triumph, but about nurturing the next generation of heroes and ensuring they are equipped to face the challenges ahead. The theme of sacrifice is also a significant aspect of Maverick's evolving heroism. Throughout the film, Maverick is forced to confront his own fear of losing others and his tendency to put himself at risk for the sake of others. As a pilot, Maverick has always been willing to sacrifice himself in order to achieve victory or protect those he cares about. However, as he matures, he begins to realize that true heroism is not about risking one's life for the thrill of it, but about making sacrifices that have a lasting impact on the lives of others. This shift in perspective is evident when Maverick risks his life to save Rooster during the film's climactic mission. In this moment, Maverick's sacrifice is not just about his personal sense of duty, it is about putting Rooster's safety and success above his own. Maverick's selflessness and willingness to sacrifice himself for the good of the mission reflect a key evolution in his character. Where he was once driven by the need to prove himself and seek personal validation, he now recognizes that heroism is about service to others and the willingness to take risks for the greater good. This realization culminates in the final battle, where Maverick's leadership and sacrifice are instrumental in ensuring the success of the mission and the safety of his team. Maverick's actions during this sequence reinforce the idea that true heroism is not about being the fastest, the most skilled, or the most daring. It is about making decisions that protect the lives of others, even if it means putting yourself in harm's way. In addition to his selflessness, Maverick's heroism is defined by his ability to inspire and unite his team. The mission he trains his pilots for requires unparalleled precision, but it also requires trust, unity, and the ability to work together under intense pressure. Maverick's leadership is instrumental in fostering this sense of collaboration. His ability to teach the young pilots how to trust each other, rely on one another's strengths, and work as a cohesive unit is a reflection of the deeper message of the film. Heroism is not about individual glory, but about collective success. Maverick's personal growth as a leader enables him to guide his team not only in the air but also emotionally, teaching them that their strength lies in their ability to collaborate and support one another. By the end of Top Gun, Maverick's heroism has evolved from the reckless, glory-seeking pilot of the past to a mature, selfless leader who understands the true nature of bravery and sacrifice. His decision to let go of his past, trust his team, and risk his own life for Rooster and the mission represents the culmination of his emotional journey. Maverick has come to understand that heroism is not just about flying high and defying death. It is about making the right choices, empowering others, and leading with integrity and compassion. His transformation is a testament to the idea that, while the nature of heroism may change over time, the core values of selflessness, trust, and sacrifice remain constant. In conclusion, Maverick's evolving heroism in Top Gun. Maverick is a key component of the film's emotional depth and thematic richness. His journey from a cocky, thrill-seeking pilot to a mentor and leader who understands the true meaning of sacrifice and service reflects a profound transformation. Maverick's heroism is no longer defined by individual achievement or personal glory. It is rooted in his ability to inspire others, protect his team, and make the tough choices that ensure the success of the greater mission. This evolution makes Maverick not just a hero in the skies, but a true leader who leaves a lasting impact on those who follow him. The climactic mission in Top Gun. Maverick is the culmination of everything the characters have experienced throughout the film. It represents not just a physical battle in the skies but also the emotional and psychological growth of Maverick and his students, particularly Bradley, Rooster Bradshaw, Miles Teller. The mission serves as a final test of the skills, trust, and relationships that have been developed over the course of the story. For Maverick, it's not only a challenge to lead his squadron to victory, but also a personal reckoning with his past mistakes, especially with Rooster, and a demonstration of the sacrifices he's willing to make for the greater good. For Rooster and the other pilots, it's the ultimate proving ground where their abilities and their ability to work as a team are tested under the highest pressure imaginable. The mission, which involves taking down a heavily defended enemy facility located in a mountainous region, is presented as a near-impossible task. The enemy has created a fortress that is protected by both high-tech defenses and natural terrain that makes the attack especially dangerous. The pilots must fly at extremely low altitudes, navigating through narrow valleys and avoiding radar detection, all while fending off enemy aircraft and countermeasures. This complexity makes the mission not only a physical challenge, but a psychological one. The pilots have been trained to handle various aspects of combat, but this mission requires something more: the ability to think on their feet, trust each other, and rely on their instincts. The tension surrounding the mission is palpable from the start. Maverick has spent the entire film preparing his team for this moment, pushing them to their limits in training. As a leader, he's not just concerned with the technical aspects of flying, but with making sure that each pilot is emotionally and mentally prepared for the task ahead. Maverick knows that success depends on more than just skill. It depends on trust, teamwork, and the ability to make split-second decisions under extreme pressure. Maverick's role as a mentor becomes even more apparent in these final moments, as he realizes that his legacy is not just about his own flying ability, but about the pilots he trains and the success of the mission they undertake together. As the pilots prepare for the mission, Maverick's emotional journey comes to the forefront. Throughout the film, Maverick has been haunted by the guilt of Goose's death, and his strained relationship with Rooster has made it even more difficult for him to let go of the past. However, the mission serves as a turning point for Maverick. He must reconcile with his own fears, especially the fear of losing Rooster, and accept that the success of the mission is not just about his own skill or control, but about trusting Rooster and his other pilots. Maverick's growth as a leader is evident here, as he begins to understand that true heroism is not about saving the day alone. It's about empowering others to succeed and making the tough sacrifices needed for the greater good. The mission itself is a breathtaking sequence of aerial maneuvers, intense combat, and near misses. As the pilots enter enemy airspace, the tension rises to a fever pitch. The filmmakers use the visuals and sound design to create an immersive experience that puts the audience right in the cockpit with the pilots. The danger is ever present, as the pilots have to dodge enemy fire, outmaneuver surface-to-air missiles, and face overwhelming odds. The stakes are incredibly high, and the outcome is uncertain. The precision required for each maneuver, combined with the mental and emotional pressure of the mission, showcases the best of what Maverick has taught his pilots. It's not just about being fast or skillful, it's about remaining calm under pressure, trusting each other, and working as a unit. A key moment in the mission comes when Maverick is forced to make a difficult decision. He must decide whether to stay in the fight or to step aside and let his students take the lead. Throughout the film, Maverick has been struggling with his identity as a leader. While he has always been used to being the best and leading from the front, the mission forces him to recognize that leadership is not about personal glory. It's about enabling others to succeed. Maverick ultimately puts his trust in Rooster and the other pilots, stepping back to let them take the lead in the mission. This moment is symbolic of Maverick's growth. He has moved from being a lone wolf to becoming a true mentor and leader who understands that sometimes the greatest act of heroism is allowing others to shine. The most emotional and intense moment of the mission comes when Maverick finds himself in a dangerous situation, with his aircraft disabled and under attack by enemy forces. In a selfless act of bravery, Maverick puts himself in harm's way to protect Rooster and the others. He risks his own life to ensure that his team has a chance to complete the mission and escape. This act of sacrifice is a pivotal moment in the film, as it shows how far Maverick has come emotionally. He is no longer driven by the need to prove himself or to seek personal glory. He is now willing to sacrifice everything for the success of the mission and the safety of those he cares about. As Maverick and Rooster work together to complete the mission, the emotional weight of their relationship comes to a head. Rooster, who has struggled with his resentment of Maverick, begins to trust him fully. In the final moments of the mission, Maverick's willingness to protect Rooster and his selfless actions demonstrate the depth of their bond. The two pilots, once at odds, are now united by a common goal and the trust they have developed in each other. This emotional breakthrough marks the culmination of both their individual character arcs at a sigh. For Maverick, it is the moment when he fully lets go of his past guilt and embraces the role of a mentor and protector. For Rooster, it is the moment when he accepts Maverick's role in his life and understands that Maverick's actions, though imperfect, were always motivated by love and a desire to protect him. The success of the mission is a powerful moment of triumph, not just for Maverick and his team, but for the film's broader themes of trust, sacrifice, and emotional growth. While the mission's success is marked by explosions, aerial acrobatics, and a nail-biting escape, the true victory lies in the emotional resolutions that occur for the characters. Maverick has grown into a true leader, one who understands that heroism is not just about flying faster or harder, it's about helping others succeed, protecting those you love, and making the tough sacrifices required for the greater good. The climactic mission in Top Gun: Maverick is not just a physical battle in the skies, it is a culmination of the character's emotional growth, and it solidifies Maverick's transformation from a cocky, self-reliant pilot to a selfless leader who understands the power of teamwork, trust, and sacrifice. In conclusion, the climactic mission in Top Gun: Maverick serves as the emotional and narrative high point of the film. It tests the pilot's skills, their ability to trust each other, and their capacity for sacrifice. For Maverick, it is a moment of personal redemption as he finally lets go of his guilt and embraces the role of mentor and protector. The mission not only marks the culmination of the film's action, but also the emotional arcs of its characters, demonstrating that heroism is not about individual glory, but about making the right choices for the greater good. It is a fitting conclusion to Maverick's journey, highlighting the evolution of his character and the power of collaboration and selflessness. In Top Gun: Maverick, the concept of legacy is deeply intertwined with the journey of its central character, Pete "Maverick" Mitchell. Throughout the film, Maverick's past accomplishments, his relationships, and his unresolved emotions shape the man he is in the present. However, the film's narrative challenges Maverick to redefine what his legacy means, not only in terms of his accomplishments as a pilot, but also as a mentor, a leader, and a man who must confront the consequences of his past choices. As Maverick trains a new generation of pilots for a high-stakes mission, he is forced to reflect on how he wants to be remembered and what impact he will leave behind. Ultimately, Top Gun: Maverick is not just about the thrill of high-speed aviation, but about the deeper emotional resonance of legacy, growth, and reconciliation. At the heart of Maverick's legacy is the weight of his past decisions, particularly the death of his best friend, Nick "Goose" Bradshaw, Anthony Edwards, in the original Top Gun. Goose's death left an indelible mark on Maverick, shaping the man he became and affecting the way he interacted with others, especially with Goose's son, Bradley "Rooster" Bradshaw. Miles Teller? Throughout Top Gun: Maverick's struggle with his guilt over Goose's death is ever present, especially in his strained relationship with Rooster. Maverick has carried the weight of this tragedy for years, believing that his actions contributed to Goose's untimely death. This unresolved guilt has influenced many of Maverick's decisions, including his attempt to protect Rooster by holding him back from advancing in his career. The film explores how Maverick must come to terms with the fact that his legacy cannot simply be defined by his past mistakes. In order to move forward, he must accept responsibility for his actions and allow others to see him not just as the legend of the skies, but as a man who is capable of growth, change, and redemption. Maverick's legacy is also shaped by the relationships he forms with the next generation of pilots, whom he is tasked with training for the dangerous mission at the center of the film's plot. For Maverick, this is a defining moment, a chance to pass on the skills, wisdom, and lessons he's learned over the years to a group of young pilots who will carry the torch forward. The film demonstrates that, while Maverick may have been a maverick in his youth, pushing boundaries, defying authority, and seeking personal glory, true legacy is not about individual achievements, but about empowering others to achieve greatness. Throughout the training process, Maverick not only teaches his pilots the technical aspects of flying, but also instills in them the importance of trust, teamwork, and leadership. He teaches them that success in the skies is not just about speed and skill, but about the ability to rely on one another and work as a cohesive unit. Maverick's mentorship allows him to redefine what it means to leave a lasting impact, not through his own glory, but through the success and growth of those he mentors. A key part of Maverick's evolution throughout Top Gun: Maverick is the way he learns to let go of the need for personal validation and embrace a more selfless form of leadership. Early in the film, Maverick is portrayed as a man who is still defined by his past achievements and the thrill of flying. However, as he takes on the role of a mentor, he begins to understand that his legacy is not just about his individual actions in the cockpit, but about the way he can inspire others to rise to their full potential. This realization is a critical turning point for Maverick's character. While he may never fully let go of his passion for flying, he learns that his greatest contribution is not just as a pilot, but as a teacher who helps others achieve their goals. This transition from the maverick pilot to the wise, selfless mentor is the emotional core of the film, and it highlights the central theme that legacy is about making a positive impact on others, especially the next generation. In particular, Maverick's relationship with Rooster serves as a poignant illustration of the way legacy is passed on. Rooster's emotional journey throughout the film mirrors Maverick's own. Both are struggling with guilt, loss, and the pressure of living up to the legacy of someone they love. Rooster resents Maverick for the role he believes he played in delaying his career, and the two men are at odds for much of the film. However, through their emotional reconciliation and their teamwork in the climactic mission, Maverick and Rooster are able to bridge the gap between them. For Maverick, this reconciliation represents the ultimate redemption, a chance to make amends for his past mistakes and to pass on the lessons Goose taught him, not just as a pilot, but as a human being. The culmination of their emotional arc is not just about Maverick's personal growth, but about how he has contributed to Rooster's growth and how Rooster will carry that knowledge forward into his own career. In this sense, Maverick's legacy is complete. He has not only survived the pain of his past, but has used it to guide Rooster and the next generation of pilots toward a future filled with hope and possibility. Maverick's legacy is also tied to his broader impact on the Navy and the military community. Throughout the film, Maverick is portrayed as someone who operates outside the system. He is a rule breaker who has consistently defied authority and charted his own path. However, his willingness to take risks and push boundaries has made him an invaluable asset to the Navy. Maverick's legacy is not just about his individual defiance, but about the way his actions have shaped the course of military aviation. He has proven time and again that the greatest pilots are not just those who follow the rules, but those who are willing to think for themselves, take risks, and push the limits of what is possible. Maverick's contributions to the Navy go beyond his flying skills. They lie in his ability to inspire others to be bold, to take chances, and to believe in their own abilities. His legacy as a Maverick is ultimately about his ability to change the way others see themselves and to challenge them to rise to greatness. By the end of Top Gun, Maverick has fully embraced his new role as a mentor and leader. His legacy is no longer defined by his individual heroics or the glory of being the best pilot in the world. It is defined by the lives he has touched, the pilots he has trained, and the way he has inspired the next generation to be their best selves. The final scenes of the film, where Maverick and Rooster fly side by side in a victorious mission, symbolize the passing of the torch. Maverick has completed his journey of redemption, and he has successfully guided Rooster, and by extension the Navy, toward a brighter future. Maverick's legacy is no longer just about personal achievement, but about the impact he has had on others, ensuring that the lessons of the past are carried forward, and that the next generation is ready to take on the challenges of the future. In conclusion, Top Gun: Maverick is as much about Maverick's legacy as it is about his journey. Throughout the film, Maverick grapples with the weight of his past decisions, the guilt of losing Goose, and his evolving role as a mentor and leader. His legacy is not just about being the best pilot. It is about guiding others to be their best, making sacrifices, and letting go of personal glory in favor of empowering those who come after him. The film's resolution offers a fitting tribute to Maverick's character, showing that his greatest contribution is not just in the skies but in the lives he has touched and the future he has helped shape. The emotional journey of Bradley "Rooster" Bradshaw, Miles Teller, in Top Gun: Maverick is one of the most pivotal arcs of the film. As the son of Maverick's late best friend, Nick "Goose" Bradshaw, Rooster carries the weight of his father's legacy and the unresolved grief of losing him in the first Top Gun film. His journey in the sequel is not just about proving himself as a capable pilot, but also about confronting the pain of the past, grappling with his deep-seated resentment toward Maverick, and finding his own identity apart from the shadow of his father's death. Rooster's redemption is one of forgiveness, personal growth, and ultimately, the reconciliation between himself and Maverick, which becomes a powerful element in the narrative of the film. From the start, Rooster's relationship with Maverick is marked by tension and unresolved emotions. The film establishes early on that Rooster harbors a significant amount of anger toward Maverick, who, years ago, made a decision to pull Rooster's application to the Navy and prevent him from advancing in his career. While Maverick's actions were motivated by a desire to protect Rooster from the dangers of the profession and to shield him from the same heartbreak Maverick experienced when he lost Goose, Rooster perceives this as an act of betrayal. He feels that Maverick's interference in his career was a direct result of the guilt Maverick carries for Goose's death, and this leaves Rooster feeling stunted, angry, and emotionally distant from Maverick. Rooster's resentment of Maverick is not just about the specific incident of the delayed Navy application. It represents a deeper, more painful emotional wound. Rooster is, in many ways, struggling with his own identity. As the son of a beloved hero, Goose, he feels the weight of living up to the legacy left behind by his father. In Top Gun, 1986, Goose's tragic death in the cockpit marked a significant turning point for Maverick, and in the sequel, that loss continues to haunt both Maverick and Rooster. Rooster wants to be his own man, but the constant comparisons to his father and the overwhelming pressure to live up to Goose's memory hold him back. His journey is one of breaking free from the shackles of his father's legacy and finding his own voice, both as a person and as a pilot. Maverick's return to Top Gun and his role as the instructor in charge of training the new squadron of pilots forces Rooster to face these unresolved issues head-on. Although Rooster is undoubtedly a skilled pilot, his emotional baggage prevents him from fully embracing his potential. His resentment of Maverick, which has festered for years, stands as an obstacle to his growth. The tension between the two is palpable, and their interactions are fraught with distrust, anger, and the lingering grief that has never been addressed. Rooster's internal conflict is not just about Maverick's role in his career, but about his fear of losing someone else he loves, just as he lost his father. As the film progresses, Rooster's emotional journey becomes intertwined with Maverick's own growth. Maverick's role as a mentor and leader challenges both of them to confront their shared past. The training sequences, which push the pilots to their limits, serve as a vehicle for both Rooster and Maverick to reflect on their respective emotional wounds. For Rooster, the mission that Maverick is preparing them for becomes not just a physical challenge, but an opportunity for him to break free from the emotional chains that have bound him for so long. As Maverick pushes Rooster to trust his abilities, Rooster begins to realize that his resentment toward Maverick is preventing him from reaching his true potential. The film presents several key moments where Rooster begins to understand that the only way forward is through forgiveness, both of Maverick and of himself. This realization is not immediate. It is a slow, painful process that involves confronting his own insecurities, fear, and the guilt he carries over his father's death. Rooster's emotional breakthrough begins when he starts to see that Maverick's actions, while flawed, were not rooted in malice but in a deep sense of protection and love. The more Rooster interacts with Maverick, the more he begins to understand that Maverick, too, is haunted by the same loss and is not simply a man who seeks to control Rooster's fate, but a mentor who genuinely wants to see him succeed. The turning point in Rooster's redemption comes during the climactic mission. As the pilots face the imminent danger of enemy fire in extreme conditions, Rooster must confront his fear and trust Maverick, something he has struggled to do throughout the entire film. In a moment of intense vulnerability, Rooster finally accepts Maverick's leadership and sacrifices, acknowledging that Maverick's actions were motivated by a desire to protect him, not hinder him. This emotional moment is not just a turning point for Rooster. It is a turning point for both characters, as it signifies the beginning of their emotional reconciliation. Rooster's decision to trust Maverick and his willingness to take risks for the success of the mission are a testament to his growth, as he steps out of his father's shadow and proves to himself that he is capable of making his own decisions and forging his own path. The final scenes of Top Gun: Maverick cement Rooster's redemption. During the mission, he works alongside Maverick as an equal, not as someone who is being protected or controlled, but as someone who has earned his place among the best. Rooster's decision to fly alongside Maverick, taking on the enemy with confidence and determination, demonstrates the emotional and professional growth he has achieved. The mutual trust between Maverick and Rooster is evident as they rely on each other to complete the mission successfully. Rooster's actions during the climax of the film are a reflection of his personal journey, one that has led him from resentment and emotional paralysis to acceptance, forgiveness, and self-assurance. By the end of the film, Rooster has transformed from a young, resentful pilot, struggling with the weight of his father's legacy and his own fears, to a confident, capable individual who has forged his own path. His redemption is not just about reconciling with Maverick. It is about reconciling with himself and his own sense of identity. Rooster has learned that he doesn't need to live in the shadow of his father's memory, nor does he need to carry the emotional burden of Maverick's past mistakes. Through the challenges he faces and the trust he builds with Maverick, Rooster ultimately comes to understand that his true legacy is his ability to move forward, grow, and make his own choices. His redemption is complete when he realizes that he is his own person, capable of living up to the high standards set by his father, while also forging his own path as a pilot and a man. In conclusion, Rooster's redemption arc in Top Gun: Maverick is a deeply emotional and transformative journey. From resentment and anger to forgiveness and self-empowerment, Rooster's story is one of personal growth, healing, and the power of reconciliation. His evolution as a character, from a young man carrying the weight of his father's legacy to a confident, independent pilot, mirrors the broader themes of the film, which explore the complexities of heroism, mentorship, and the enduring power of trust. Rooster's journey is a testament to the idea that true redemption comes not just through external achievements, but through internal acceptance and the courage to face the past in order to move forward. In Top Gun: Maverick, the return of the iconic Top Gun spirit is not just a nostalgic callback to the original film, but a representation of the evolution of both Maverick's character and the values that define true excellence. The film encapsulates the idea that greatness is not simply about raw talent or individual accomplishment, but about the ability to inspire, mentor, and work as a team to achieve something greater than oneself. While the first Top Gun film was focused on individual heroism, Top Gun: Maverick shifts the emphasis to the strength of the collective and the wisdom that comes with experience. In doing so, it brings back the Top Gun spirit in a new, evolved form, one that embraces both personal growth and the power of collaboration. The original Top Gun movie was about the thrill of flying, the competitive nature of being the best, and the personal struggles of Maverick as he navigated the challenges of being a top pilot. The sequel, while maintaining those elements, places a greater emphasis on leadership, mentorship, and the ability to bring out the best in others. This new iteration of the Top Gun spirit is centered around the idea that heroism is not only about individual success, but about the collective success of a team. Maverick's role as an instructor is at the heart of this transformation. He is no longer the cocky lone pilot trying to prove himself, but a leader who understands that the best pilots are those who can work together, trust each other, and rely on one another to complete a mission. The moment that truly defines the return of the Top Gun spirit comes when Maverick successfully trains a new generation of elite pilots for the dangerous mission that forms the crux of the film. These pilots, each with their own unique skills and personalities, have been shaped by a military structure that values precision, protocol, and data. However, Maverick's mentorship teaches them that being the best isn't just about technical skill. It's about thinking on your feet, trusting your instincts, and, most importantly, working together as a team. Maverick's ability to inspire the next generation of pilots shows that leadership is not about being the best individual pilot, but about nurturing the potential of those around you. At the heart of this shift in focus is Maverick's relationship with Bradley "Rooster" Bradshaw. Rooster, the son of Maverick's late best friend Goose, represents both the legacy of the original Top Gun and the new generation of pilots who must come to terms with a rapidly changing world. Rooster's journey is about breaking free from the emotional and professional baggage of his past, particularly his strained relationship with Maverick. In a poignant moment of reconciliation, Rooster finally understands that Maverick's actions, while imperfect, were motivated by love and a desire to protect him. As Maverick and Rooster fly side by side in the climactic mission, their mutual trust and camaraderie exemplify the new Top Gun spirit, a spirit built on respect, collaboration, and the willingness to make sacrifices for the greater good. The return of the Top Gun spirit is also evident in the training exercises that Maverick puts his pilots through. These exercises are grueling, intense, and push the pilots to their limits. However, they are not just about testing their technical skills. They are about testing their mental resilience, their ability to work as a unit, and their trust in one another. Maverick's approach to training is unconventional, emphasizing creativity, flexibility, and the willingness to take risks. While the military structure often values strict adherence to protocol, Maverick teaches his pilots that real excellence comes from trusting your instincts and thinking outside the box. This lesson is exemplified by the final mission, where the pilots must rely on their training, instincts, and teamwork to succeed in a life-or-death situation. One of the most powerful aspects of the Top Gun spirit in the sequel is the evolution of Maverick's character. While the first Top Gun film focused on Maverick's individual journey to prove himself and his struggle to reconcile with his past, Top Gun: Maverick is about Maverick learning to pass the torch. The emotional growth that Maverick undergoes in the film, letting go of his past guilt, embracing the role of a mentor, and recognizing that his legacy lies in empowering others, marks the true return of the Top Gun spirit. Maverick's willingness to take a back seat and allow Rooster and the other pilots to lead the charge during the final mission exemplifies the new definition of greatness, a leader who enables others to rise to their full potential. This shift in Maverick's character highlights the importance of mentorship and the understanding that leadership is about building others up, not just achieving personal glory. In addition to Maverick, the other pilots also embody the Top Gun spirit in their journey to overcome their personal fears, insecurities, and doubts. Characters like Natasha Phoenix, Trace, Monica Barbaro, and Jake Hangman Sarazin, Glen Powell, each have their own arcs that reflect the values of teamwork, resilience, and trust. Phoenix in particular stands out as a strong, capable pilot who must navigate the challenges of being one of the few women in the group. Her journey is not about proving her worth in a male-dominated field, but about earning the respect of her peers through her actions, skills, and integrity. Hangman, initially depicted as cocky and self-centered, eventually learns the importance of collaboration and trust, particularly with Rooster. Both characters, like Maverick, learn that true success comes not from individual accolades, but from the collective success of the team. Their journeys represent the evolution of the Top Gun spirit, which has moved from a focus on individual competition to a celebration of teamwork, mutual respect, and personal growth. The Top Gun spirit is also reflected in the film's stunning aerial sequences. The film's breathtaking flight sequences serve as both a visual spectacle and a metaphor for the freedom and creativity that Maverick's new brand of heroism represents. In the skies, the pilots are not bound by rigid rules or regulations, but are free to make decisions, take risks, and work as a team to achieve their objective. The adrenaline-pumping action scenes emphasize that, while discipline and training are critical, it is the pilot's ability to think independently and act as a cohesive unit that ultimately leads to success. This blend of intense action and emotional growth perfectly captures the essence of the Top Gun spirit, a spirit that celebrates excellence, bravery, and the willingness to sacrifice for others. The film's conclusion highlights the lasting impact of Maverick's legacy. As Maverick's relationship with Rooster comes full circle, it becomes clear that Maverick has successfully passed on the values that made him the legendary pilot he is. Rooster, having reconciled with Maverick and proven himself as a capable leader, embodies the new Top Gun spirit, one that is rooted in trust, mutual respect, and collaboration. The film ends with a sense of closure for Maverick, knowing that his legacy will live on in the pilots he mentored and the values he instilled in them. In conclusion, the return of the Top Gun spirit in Top Gun. Maverick represents a shift from individual heroism to a celebration of teamwork, leadership, and mentorship. The film redefines what it means to be a hero, showing that true greatness lies not in personal glory, but in empowering others to reach their full potential. Maverick's journey from a lone wolf to a mentor and leader marks the evolution of the Top Gun spirit as he learns to embrace the importance of collaboration and trust. The film celebrates the values of courage, resilience, and selflessness, and it shows that the true legacy of a hero is the impact they have on others. Through Maverick's journey, the film captures the timeless essence of the Top Gun spirit, reminding us that greatness is not achieved alone, it is achieved together. Top Gun. Maverick brings Pete Maverick Mitchell's journey to a stunning and emotionally resonant conclusion, highlighting the evolution of his character and the lessons he's learned over the years. While the original Top Gun film was about Maverick's struggle to prove himself, Maverick is about accepting responsibility, embracing leadership, and learning that true greatness lies in guiding others to success. Maverick's arc in the sequel is not just one of personal redemption, but also of growth, both emotional and professional, as he faces his past, reconciles with old wounds, and ultimately finds peace in his role as a mentor and protector. This shift in Maverick's character is symbolized by the film's ending, where Maverick not only comes to terms with the legacy of his past, but passes the torch to the next generation of pilots. The film opens with Maverick still defying authority and operating as a test pilot, refusing to settle into the desk job his superiors try to push him toward. He's still the same fearless, cocky pilot who doesn't take no for an answer. However, as the story progresses, Maverick is given the responsibility of training a new class of elite pilots for a dangerous mission that will require not only precision flying, but also the ability to trust each other and work as a team. Maverick's return to Top Gun as an instructor forces him to reckon with his past and to accept a role he's never embraced, that of a mentor. His relationship with the new generation, particularly with Bradley, Rooster Bradshaw, Miles Teller, the son of his late best friend Goose, becomes the emotional core of the film, marking the beginning of Maverick's transformation. One of the central elements of Maverick's journey is coming to terms with the guilt he has carried for decades. Goose's death in the original Top Gun left Maverick emotionally scarred, and his feelings of responsibility for that tragedy have haunted him for years. As the film unfolds, Maverick realizes that his attempts to protect Rooster from the same pain he experienced were misguided. He learns that, in trying to shield Rooster from loss, he held him back professionally and emotionally. This realization becomes a key turning point in Maverick's emotional journey. He must not only confront the guilt he feels for Goose's death, but also acknowledge that, by overprotecting Rooster, he denied the young pilot the opportunity to grow and face his own challenges. This is a painful truth for Maverick, but it is essential for his growth as a person and as a leader. The reconciliation between Maverick and Rooster is a powerful narrative arc in Top Gun. Maverick. Their relationship is marked by tension, anger, and unspoken grief. As Rooster resents Maverick for his role in holding him back and feels betrayed by the man who was supposed to be a mentor and father figure. As the two men work together throughout the film, Maverick must learn to let go of his past mistakes and confront Rooster's anger. Rooster, in turn, must learn to forgive Maverick and see that his actions were motivated by love and a desire to protect him. Their journey toward mutual understanding is a reflection of Maverick's own emotional growth. By the end of the film, Maverick has shed his guilt and taken responsibility for his actions, while Rooster has learned to trust Maverick once again. Another important aspect of Maverick's transformation is his evolving role as a leader. In the early part of the film, Maverick is still very much the lone wolf, focused on flying and pushing the limits of what is possible in the sky. However, as he is tasked with training the new generation of pilots, Maverick is forced to realize that leadership is not just about individual skill or personal glory. It's about guiding others, building trust, and making sacrifices for the greater good. Maverick's leadership style, which is unconventional and based on pushing his students to their limits, is initially met with resistance. But as the training progresses, the pilots begin to understand that Maverick's methods, though unorthodox, are designed to prepare them for the unpredictable challenges they will face. The film emphasizes that leadership is about empowering others, pushing them to achieve their best, and showing them that they are capable of more than they realize. This shift in Maverick's approach to leadership is a significant part of his evolution from the self-centered, risk-taking pilot of the first Top Gun film to the wise, selfless mentor in the sequel. Maverick's legacy, which has been defined by his rebelliousness and his fearlessness in the cockpit, undergoes a transformation by the end of the film. He begins to understand that his legacy is not just about being the best pilot or taking the most risks, it's about the impact he has on others. Through his mentorship of Rooster and the other pilots, Maverick realizes that true greatness lies in helping others succeed, and that his legacy will live on in the pilots he has trained. His selflessness, particularly in the final act of the film, when he risks his life to save Rooster, exemplifies this shift in perspective. Maverick's willingness to sacrifice his own safety for the well-being of the team is the ultimate demonstration of his growth as a person and as a leader. By the end of the film, Maverick has become a mentor, a protector, and a symbol of the values of courage, teamwork, and selflessness. His legacy is no longer just about what he achieved in the cockpit, but about the lessons he has passed on to the next generation. The final scenes of Top Gun, Maverick showcase the completion of Maverick's transformation. He is no longer the young pilot who sought personal glory, but a leader who understands that the true measure of success lies in empowering others. As Maverick and Rooster fly side by side in the mission's climactic battle, they exemplify the growth they have both experienced. Maverick as a mentor who has come to terms with his past, and Rooster as a pilot who has stepped out of his father's shadow and embraced his own identity. Their reconciliation is a symbol of the passing of the torch, as Maverick has successfully guided Rooster to a place of emotional and professional maturity. This moment of emotional resolution, coupled with the success of the mission, marks the completion of Maverick's journey and the establishment of a new chapter in his life. In the end, Top Gun, Maverick is not just a film about aviation and high-flying action. It is about the emotional growth of its central character and the way that personal redemption, leadership, and mentorship come together to create a legacy that will outlast individual accomplishments. Maverick's story is one of letting go of past guilt, learning to trust others, and embracing a role of responsibility and selflessness. The film's resolution leaves Maverick in a place where he can look back on his journey with pride, knowing that his legacy will not only be defined by the flights he has taken, but by the pilots he has inspired and guided. Top Gun, Maverick successfully brings Maverick's story full circle, offering a fitting conclusion to his character arc. The film is not just about his past. It is about how he evolves, how he learns, and how he finally accepts that his greatest accomplishments lie in his ability to lead and mentor others. As Maverick flies off into the sunset, the audience is left with the understanding that while his time as a fighter pilot may be coming to an end, his influence on the next generation will continue to shape the future. Top Gun, Maverick is a powerful return to the skies for Pete "Maverick" Mitchell, Tom Cruise, a character that has become synonymous with high-speed thrills and 1980s nostalgia. But this sequel, over 3 decades in the making, isn't just a flashy continuation of what came before. It's a rich, emotional exploration of growth, redemption, and legacy. The film starts with Maverick as a seasoned test pilot, still living life by his own rules, refusing to conform to the Navy's bureaucracy. Despite his legendary status, Maverick is still haunted by the death of his best friend, Goose, and the unresolved feelings surrounding that event. His new role as an instructor at Top Gun where he is tasked with training a new generation of elite pilots, forces him to confront his past in ways he never anticipated, especially when he's forced to work closely with Goose's son, Bradley, Rooster, Bradshaw, Miles Teller. One of the strongest aspects of Top Gun: Maverick is its emotional depth. The film delves into the complexities of Maverick's character, portraying him as someone who has never really dealt with the consequences of his past actions. The strained relationship between Maverick and Rooster adds a personal emotional weight to the story, allowing for more than just adrenaline-pumping action. It's a journey of forgiveness, personal growth, and healing, not only for Maverick, but for Rooster as well. The aerial combat sequences in Top Gun: Maverick are breathtaking, thanks to groundbreaking cinematography and real-life flight training. These sequences are thrilling, visually stunning, and pulse-pounding, and they elevate the film's stakes. The film doesn't just rely on its action to tell the story. There's an emotional payoff with each maneuver, particularly as Maverick starts to accept his new role as a mentor, rather than a solo hero. Tom Cruise's return as Maverick is nothing short of iconic. His performance is grounded in years of experience, both as a pilot in terms of the stunts, and as an actor who understands the depth of his character. He brings a new layer of vulnerability to Maverick, and his chemistry with Miles Teller's Rooster adds depth to the story. The movie also introduces new faces like Jennifer Connelly as Penny, Maverick's love interest, whose relationship with him offers a grounding force in his otherwise tumultuous life. The new pilots, especially Phoenix, Monica Barbaro, and Hangman, Glen Powell, bring fresh energy. But it's the dynamic between Maverick and Rooster that truly drives the film. Ultimately, Top Gun: Maverick does what few sequels can. It outdoes its predecessor in emotional storytelling, character development, and visual spectacle. It's not just a film about planes, it's a film about family, trust, and facing the ghosts of the past. It's a perfect example of how a sequel can both honor the original and carve out its own path. And that's a wrap on our review of Top Gun: Maverick. What did you think of Maverick's journey from lone wolf to mentor? Did you enjoy the emotional depth mixed with the high-flying action? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked this review, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more movie insights and reviews. Until next time, keep soaring high and living life like Maverick, always pushing the limits. See you in the next video.